Jesus Christ.
Hello folks, and welcome to the Football Manager Retrospective Twitch edition. And with me I have Mr. Fox in the Box. Mr. Fox in the Box.
Hello.
Is he really
literally
in a box?
Literally in a box today, literally.
Excellent. How are you?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm terrific, actually.
Awesome.
Yeah, excellent. We also have JustDeacon. Deek, how are you?
I'm well. One is well. It's dark, so I've had to turn the lights on. I'm not sitting in a box. Try not to, anyway. Actually, I am sitting in a box. I sit in a man cave. I've got a shed conversion, so I do sit in a box outside because I've been kicked out of the main house.
Literally living the dream.
I am literally living the dream, mate.
Literally. In a shed.
in a shed. But it's an insulated shed, so I'm trying to spice it up.
Excellent. And then last, but by no means least, obviously, we have Mr. Brian Gendo. Hello, Brian.
What's going on, guys? How you guys doing?
I think I'm well. I think the others are well.
I'm well. I'm
great.
very well.
I'm great.
So I'm fine. Is everybody fine?
I think we're all very fine, apart from Lee.
All right.
Yeah. Is this about Football Manager, this podcast?
I think so.
Oh, well, I'll be going. I'll see you later.
Brian, what has
Yes.
been your most enjoyable save of Football Manager 2016? It doesn't have to be one that you've played with, like on your save or on one of your streams, but anywhere, you know, anything. What has been the most enjoyable save you've played this year?
Well, to be honest, I only have played saves that were either on YouTube or on streaming, and my most enjoyable, honestly, has to be the one that's going on right now, my British Steel Challenge, where the entire premise is to win all 38 playable trophies in the British Isles and the Republic of Ireland, with the caveat being that I can only use players of those 5 nationalities. They have to be English, Scottish, Welsh, Irish, or Northern Irish. And I've been going at that for about almost 6 months right now. I've racked up about half the trophies, but every single time I do it, the fun, the most enjoyable part of that challenge is just looking for players and finding out what tactics work. I'm not really a tactics guy, but that is really what's turned me on into slowly becoming a tinkerer in trying to become one of these great football managers and enjoying the challenge of that.
I'm getting slightly concerned. You've used the words "turn on" and "tinker" in
I-
the same sentence.
Are we definitely on an FM podcast? I'm just double checking this again.
Last I checked.
I mean, we started this with Deeks in a cave. Now we've got someone tinkering and tweaking. Oh my god.
All I heard was turned on. That's literally the only bit I got out of that entire
And then
sentence.
he tuned out.
And then I zoned out and everything else was a blur.
Oh, I might go and do some tinkering of my own. Yeah, in my man cave. Oh, that's not a euphemism.
Not.
Right.
No,
okay.
but yeah.
Right. So that's Brian's British Steel Challenge save. Obviously, it's not with one team, so yeah, great.
No, I've been all over the Isles, man, so there really isn't one team that I can pin down saying that I've stuck with them the longest or the most or won with them the most. It's been all over the place.
Mr. Deek, what has been your most enjoyable save?
Funny enough, I'm a born and bred Arsenal fan, but I find myself doing a Derby save every single year after my Arsenal save, which is really weird. The reason being was a couple of years ago, me and a friend, we always used to do an online save together, just offline. This was before I started streaming and doing all that sort of stuff. Where we played against, I was Barca and he was Real Madrid, and we used to just battle it out for a season. We got bored after a while. Obviously, these are powerhouses. So we went to the Championship. The only club that was available was Derby, and ended up sort of having a bit of infatuation with Derby. I carried it on this year, and it done really well on Twitch. With my Derby save, I took them to the Premier League. I'd done that save for about 10 years. In that time, I won 6 Premier League trophies and 3 Champions Leagues, 2 of them back-to-back, and it was just really memorable. The things that I love about it is the 2 Ballon d'Or winners that I got. They won it twice and one won it once. One of them cost 230k. That was Ian Parkinson.
Oh my god.
Saying this though, I bought him for £85,000, and it ended up going to 230, which was like, wait, don't break the bank. And the other guy, the guy that won it twice, he was for free. I got him on a free. So I just found it hilarious that I managed to find these absolutely nobodies and turn them into Ballon d'Or winners. I just thought that was massively impressive, beating the likes of Messi and stuff like that, whilst they were still pretty much in their prime. Because they carry on to like their 34th, 33, 34. They're freaking ridiculous. But yeah, that's easily one of my favourite saves. I love doing the Derby save, but this year it turned out so special that I was able to do it for 10 years. Not to mention the fact that I ended up creating a tactic. I always do my own tactics, but I created one because everybody uses winger tactics, and they've got wingers implemented in them. And so I wanted to create something where I'd have no wingers, because FM heavily relies on having wingers, especially this year. Having the wingers, getting down the wings and bombing it and putting the balls in for people to get their heads on or their feet or whatever body part. Just getting the balls in, just sliding the balls in. Exactly that. There's going to be millions of euphemisms because of purely from using the word balls.
My ears are very acute to things like that, so I was going to say they prick up, but then, I'm just making it worse.
Nice. Pricking it up. I like it. But yeah, overall, it was a fantastic save. I really enjoyed it. I created an amazing tactic. I found some kids that some wonder kids that I'd never heard of before.
Jesus Christ.
They were both. Yeah, Jesus Christ. They were both regens. So it's not like I went into some database or anything like that to find it. It was just special from day one to the last day it was, and we were talking about it before we started recording about nostalgia and going back to saves and realizing when is the point where you stop going back there because you just don't want to let it go. It's like I don't know. I haven't had a kid yet, but I'm expecting the moment when they go off to like university and stay in the dorms. I'm like, no, don't leave. Be my child still. Stay here. It's like leaving. It's like letting a child out into the wild. That sort of thing. So yeah, definitely my Derby save is probably going to be.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard a Football Manager save compared to a child leaving for university. But
I love. Every now and again, I go back in there and just go, "Oh, Parkinson, I love you so much." So yeah, it was definitely a special save.
I'm glad that we're not the only each of us probably equally as weird as each other. So in that same vein, Lee, what has been your best save or most enjoyable save?
Okay, well, I've had several saves this year. I haven't been one of. By the way, who's typing for the government right now?
Sorry, that was me.
Sorry. Oh, okay. I thought they were closing in on me or something. Right. So, yeah, no, I've had several saves that I've really, really enjoyed, and I'll be honest, I can't split any one of them because I've had the Director's debacle, which is obviously AC Milan, which was great fun. And sadly, it only went 3 seasons, but unfortunately, I needed to stop YouTube at the time. I've had Colchester, which was a stream one that went fantastically well. I've had Charlton as of recent that went fantastically well. So it's hard to split them all, really, and they've all kind of gone in a similar vein, especially Charlton and Colchester, where I've reached the summit of the Premier League and then failed to go any further. And I don't mean the summit, I mean second. So they've been very similar. I've not won Champions Leagues and stuff like that. I did quite well with AC Milan. So maybe the most enjoyable was AC Milan over a period of time, and that was because YouTube, I feel, enables you to enjoy a save longer because you play it less. The other two, Charlton and Colchester, I probably got like a month and a half play out of, and then I wanted to throw my PC out the window. But the Director's debacle, I can still go back to it now and continue playing it in season 4, and I'd still enjoy it. If I was doing it on YouTube, I just felt that I couldn't really transfer it to stream. So the 3 of them pretty equal, to be honest. Maybe Charlton, because of it has enabled my Twitch channel to jump to the next step almost, and we have the likes of Timo Werner embedded forever in the stream. He was fantastic. So maybe Charlton is the one, but I did really, really enjoy AC Milan as well.
Excellent answers from all 3 of you. Thank you very much.
Can I start then?
You can start. Go
okay,
ahead.
Basically, right. This game this year has been a step up. I've enjoyed it thoroughly. I think they're going in the right direction and they're doing the right things, albeit minimal improvements from year to year. And I feel that this year had the smallest amount of improvements, but aesthetically and the manoeuvring of the screens and the simplicity of going from one screen to another has been this year I felt like they've hit the nail on the head with that type of thing. However, can I swear?
You can. I'll bleep it out.
Okay, they have f***ed the match engine. I don't like the match engine.
I can attest to that.
Yeah, I don't like the match engine this year for several reasons. Mainly because it doesn't work. Or the same things repeat themselves. And a kind of bit of an inside thing here. I know that in the final patch in February, they tried the winter update. They desperately tried to fix something like cross. I don't think crossing to back posters was even that bad, because you could exploit it as much as you would be exploited on it, which is fine. It's kind of a tit for tat type thing. But they tried to fix it, and then they ultimately found out if they tried to fix that, it wrecked something else. But there's several things in the match engine. Just thinking of a couple, you're through on goal. There's 2 players versus the goalkeeper. The dude shoots wide. The cross to the back post. The free kicks just outside the area that always dink in near post that always tend to go in. You've got several things that just reoccur.
Can I throw an addendum in there?
Go for it.
The horrible center back pass that gets intercepted by the striker.
That is quite a lot. I'll tell you one thing, though.
That.
One thing they've improved. You don't see many crosses hitting the bar anymore. That's impressive. I
Hey,
mean,
no.
Forward.
You want to know why? You want to know why SI is going to leave that in? Because Miles was watching that Community Shield game, and it's like, oh, see, Fellaini did it. It can happen in the game.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing for me, right? I can't believe I'm going to admit to this. I've played nearly 4,000 hours of FM16. Every
Jesus
FM,
Christ.
I've played between 2,000 to 4,000 hours. Now, when you play that much, and I don't play on key highlights, I play on extended, always have done. You see the same patterns, and I think the downfall of the game, especially this year, I felt is that it seems to have limited amount of scenarios, and the same scenarios repeat themselves. Not every game, but quite regularly. The one shot on goal, 1 goal, 1-0 win is an absolute blinder. I mean, they've got that one down to a fucking T. I mean, that is one of the most fantastic things they've ever added into the game. Shame you can't do it, unfortunately. But
no, the truest definition of being FM'd.
It is, yeah. And you know what? I've never been, and you can go back through a lot of my YouTube stuff and back to FM15, and prior to that, when I wasn't even doing this type of stuff, I hate the term "I've been FM." Because
it's become a lot more prevalent this year.
Yeah, I think there's
big time.
And I think my Prozone stuff backs me up here, as I think there's a way to manipulate the game or a game, and the thing I like about FM this year is each game to game is very different. Nothing breaks the system. Like last year on FM15, I felt like I broke the system with the formation I found at Marseille, and I could play any team and we'd win, or we'd be bloody close to winning. This year, I don't think that's possible, which makes it more challenging. Which then people who maybe get lucky with a tactic or get lucky with a team, instantly pointing you and go, you're just crying because you're not winning games. It's not about winning games. This is about the same scenarios repeating themselves. I mean, for God's sake, I played Charlton for 4 seasons and came second every single time, losing it in the last 10 games. I think I can deal with losing,
Bottle job.
Exactly.
It seems like you're winning a bit too much. Let's scale it back so you don't get a win the last 5 games.
It's nothing to do with me being annoyed at the game or whatever. It's just the same scenarios that repeat themselves an awful lot, and I wish there was more diversity in the game. Hence why I don't watch 3D, because watching 3D, I nearly contracted a disease from watching that, to be honest. It's just so bad to watch. And you see the little problems there. I just wish they would step their match engine game up. Otherwise, the game's brilliant. Thank you. I'll be seeing you later. I'm going to leave now. But unfortunately, the match engine, I think, is the biggest thing in the game. And whatever they do, it will have an effect somewhere else. But I can't remember in recent FMs, and I've played this game way back to like the mid-90s. I don't remember a match engine since they brought in 2D and so on, ever having this amount of similar scenarios happening again and again and again and again, both for and against you, I must say. I've had plenty of times in stream where I've sat there and laughed because my team scored something ridiculous that we normally concede, so
the thing
it goes
is,
both ways.
What we need to remember, and whilst we like to think it's real life, it is still a game, and it's just. And I was when I was speaking with the YouTube version or the YouTube edition of this. I'd said the same point, that it's all based on 1s and 0s. So this little fantastic quote unquote fantastic 3D overlay that's all it is. It is an overlay. It's not. It's so it's reliant on something happening in code, and probably they need to have sort of equivalent to like better hit detection in an FPS, so that they can have more varied situations or at least so more varied situations can occur on screen, so you're not always seeing the same sort of things.
Yeah.
And I don't know how often any of you have sort of frequented the SI forums, but there was always the thing about it's your tactics, mate. And these like daft goals are usually like a symptom of your tactic not being quite right.
Yeah.
But then
many times.
But so that's probably what it's supposed to be telling you. So that basically the result is already predefined. It's just that the way that the match engine plays out.
Yeah, I'm a big believer that every result is predefined, and you can alter the course of it through what you do. Like you say, it's a dice roll versus a dice roll. And whoever rolls the highest wins type thing. But it's just the repeating scenarios that are really, 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 really frustrating. And I can see why people will get annoyed. I mean, I think this year I've become very good at losing, and that's a good thing, because previously in these other FMs, you know, I found them quite easy to play. This one I found a problem to play, which is why I've probably enjoyed it more in a weird way, but then disliked it more as well.
Because you found new and interesting ways to lose?
Well, they were the first 15,000 times. But I mean, I don't know. It's a big step forward. It's a good game, and I think they're going in the right direction. But I must say that I just a bit more time in the match engine, less time on what it looks like, please.
There is a lot of bugs that have. I remember bugs being prevalent, i.e., with your goalkeeper rushing out like 40 yards to the corner flag to clear it. Playing it to their striker, and the striker just hitting it on a volley and getting it in the goal every single time. I've seen that numerous times, but I've not seen it this year.
No.
There is a new favourite one of mine, which is this is my favourite. It's where your striker or your winger, whatever. As I said, I don't use wingers, but it's just your attacking player making it to the byline, being right next to the post, the outside of the post, and taking a shot from like the most impossible angles ever created by man. Like, if there was an option where it says square the ball when possible, please, for God's sake, square the ball. Sweaty goal button. Sweaty goal option of some sort.
I can attest
sweaty
to that
goal
as well.
option. There was one time when it happened and the guy squared it. I literally lost my I went, oh my God, I've broken the game. I recorded it. I had to, I lost my But yeah, there's lots of bugs and stuff like that that have been in the game prevalently, and they've obviously fixed it. But then when one thing breaks, when one thing's fixed, another thing breaks, and blah 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 blah. I think Foxy, you covered pretty much the majority of it, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's stressful. But then we're speaking so passionately about it because we love the game, and that's pretty much it, isn't it?
And that's the thing, like we said, is like it is a simulation, as you said, and you can't replicate. You can to a degree, but you can't replicate real life football in this. Same as FIFA can't replicate it as well. It's almost like it's like Miles has gone, right, I've played FIFA, I got sweated 6 times. That's 4. They're not going to happen in my game. It's almost like he's done that. But still, that's not the main problem here. We've covered like 3 or 4 issues with the match engine, and I actually think it was this year was the first time that SI have released a hotfix update within the first week of releasing the game, because they knew how bad it fucking was. As soon as it went out, they were like, "Oh shit, we've been caught out here. We need to sort this shit out." And they tried to, and they didn't. And from what I remember, since this game has been on Steam, historically they've never released a hotfix that quick, ever. So I think that speaks volumes straight away that they were willing to do that quickly, because they obviously the user base was like from, I don't know, they have about, I mean, I did a little bit behind the background for SI this year, and they probably have about 600 people working in the background for free that are volunteers, and I would assume all those guys play it, or they know they will play it, in fact, a couple of months. In fact, some of them will probably have it now already, and they play it in the background and test it out and whatever. But as soon as you give it to a base of nearly 100,000 people, those 1 or 2 errors that maybe 50 people are finding out of 600 turn into 15,000 people finding them, and then those people moan. So that speaks volumes that they were willing to try and do something in the first week of the game coming out, and then also say in February trying to fix back post crosses, only to realise that when they fixed it fucked them and Kels up. So they just left it and were like, okay, we'll try and sort this out for next year. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, is there anything sort of features that outside of the match engine that
Yeah.
you've either enjoyed or not found useful or anything like that?
Well, here's the one thing that... Go ahead, Deacon.
I was going to say, sending players on intensive language courses.
Oh, my God. Talk about useless.
Actually, I've got a point actually about this, because I noticed that I in my Return of the Rovers save, I became Japan manager for like 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to go on no intensive language course. I'm fluent in Japanese.
Didn't you know this?
Balls, am
Didn't
I?
you know?
Ni
There
hao.
you go.
Ni hao, I'm fluent. Ni hao. There we go. Mate,
Wow.
I was saying this the other day about how useless are manager stats, i.e. with your judging player ability and judging player potential and stuff like that. You physically can't and go and scout a player. You need a chief scout or a scout to go and scout a player. I find a lot of the manager stats to be pretty useless, also including wages and stuff like that. I came up with a bonkers idea of maybe you've say if you're a League 2 team and you've saved up enough money over the years or whatever, you've got enough money to go and rent a hotel to go and scout a player in France or something that you generally couldn't be able to go and get normally. Do you know what I mean? If you've ever seen the film Moneyball, which is obviously based around baseball, but it's the same aspects of stats and figures, which is a brilliant film. If you haven't seen it, definitely go and see it. Where the manager, the head coach of the baseball team, puts up some of his wages to be able to purchase a player, and then says any money that's made on selling of the sale of this player will go back to me. There needs to be things where, I'm not saying that's a thing that should implement, but I'm saying is things need to be done in regards to, there's a lot of useless information that the manager has. As I said, you can't go and scout a player yourself. You know what I mean? You can't, because sometimes you maybe can't afford it, or you can't get a scout there or something like that. What's the point of having all these managerial wages if you're not going to be able to do anything with it? That's my opinion. I remember years ago when I used to play it, very casually and stuff. When I used to join a club, I used to give myself as a manager the lowest wage possible, purely just so I could maybe free up some more wages in staffing or something like that. Do you know what I mean? I just feel it's like a bit useless. It's like, I'll make sure I get myself 60 grand a week. What for?
And also,
what are you going to go and buy? What are you going to go and buy that Mercedes Benz in the game, and you're going to see your character drive there in it?
New burger van.
And then you find out, Deacon, and then you find out later on, giving yourself a lower wage puts yourself at more instability, because they're like, oh, we don't have to pay this guy too much in compensation if we fire him, so...
Yeah, exactly, yeah. No, totally.
But then like, the things like the attributes, that I would assume they have a bearing, like say you start unemployed or you move to another job, that's where those come into play. I would have thought, and you're judged on those sorts of...
No, of course, obviously, tactical knowledge and stuff like that, of course, and attacking, coaching and whatnot, but I'm just saying, like, player... I'm saying on a basis of scouting a player and being able to player potential and player ability and stuff like that. If you don't have an assistant in your team, you can't see a player's potential ability.
But that's the thing. I'd imagine the game doesn't define you as a manager any differently from any other manager in the game, and therefore you have to have those attributes. So you can be sort of ranked in the same way as they are, because obviously I think that will probably come into bearing when there's like the Hall of Fame and leaderboards and all that gubbins. So.
See, and this is where I counter and say that reputation is what they're looking for more often than stats, because you could start out with the highest reputation, and if you're unemployed, then they can automatically go to like Spurs or Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester. So it doesn't really matter what your player's stats are, what your abilities are. It all comes down to your reputation. Of course, when you set yourself up at the very beginning, you can alter that, and that will alter your reputation. So I guess to some degree, the stats are what is bearing to your reputation. But I feel like reputation is what they more look at than just the numbers.
This is a very the next sort of section now is where we sort of look forward to FM 17 and think what we can change, or what would we like to have changed or have changed in Football Manager 2016, but also then are there any new features you want? So we're looking for improvements on things we've already got, and then is there anything new that we don't already have but we would like?
I'm just going to say this right now. I really like the concept of having create a team and football draft actually come standard in this iteration of Football Manager, whereas previously we had to load up a whole different database, mess around with that, just to get it working. I like that they put this in the game standard. However, I don't like that it gets a little buggy at times. It gets slow. You can crash out. And the one thing about that...
Sorry, a little bit buggy.
A little
bit buggy. Are you taking the...
You talking about the draft mode, yeah?
Yes, I am.
Okay, right, yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, no, I just want to finish my thought. And
Go
I feel like this whole thing, in no small part, comes down to the peer-to-peer networks. If SI can just get some sort of funding for servers and have dedicated servers for this draft mode, and I feel like that could cut down a lot on the issues within that mode. I don't mind it. I actually like the mode, but I feel like it can be improved upon by having dedicated servers instead of relying on a peer-to-peer network.
Yeah, I mean, like today, you know, it didn't go very well to start with. So we're like, what can we do, guys? I don't really want to continue playing FM at this moment in time. You know, I've played a lot of it. Let's do something different. And everyone was like, let's play draft mode. Let's play draft mode. Like, okay, I'm going to test something now. I'm going to open it up. Anyone can join, but please make sure you have a half decent computer and a connection better than slightly than the potato.
I can see where this is going.
We had 8 people in there. We couldn't even get past the first menu. People were getting thrown out. People were getting an error again and again. And this error was coming up saying unpack code. I'm not even joking. I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to do it. For 25 to 35 minutes, we got nowhere. And I am going to highlight that and I'm going to send it to SI and say, this is the shit I'm trying to deal with. When you're play a knockout tournament between 4 and 32 play. We can't even get 2, let alone fucking 32. So I'm actually going to say to them, why are you false advertising this shit? Because that's what it is. It's a shit house of a. I saw again. I apologise, viewers. I'm sorry. It's just terrible. Like Brian said, it's a great mode. I actually like the mode. I like the thought behind it. I like the ideas, but it doesn't work at all. Peer-to-peer does not work. So I will be actually genuinely highlighting that 25 minutes of hell that was worse than watching Charlton bottle it for the 4th time. And I will send it to SI and say, guys, check this out. Live in action. Your shit not working.
Boxy, to make an addendum to that point, that unpack error that you're talking about has been prevalent since day 1. Wow. Since that came out.
Really?
That has been a thing since day 1.
Why did they put it in then? Why did they put this mode in there? I don't understand. I don't know. I don't know why they put it in. I haven't got a clue.
Because they wanted to try something different and they didn't want to, or they saw, I'm pretty sure they saw the community, building these databases to, allow for draft mode. Like, I'm pretty sure they saw like FIFA. FM League or something like that. And FIFA as well. And they thought, hey, we can try this and put this in the game itself. And like I said, it's a nice concept, but they need to flesh it out and make it better in future iterations.
It's horrendous at the moment, unfortunately. It has lots of potential, but it is horrendous.
It's unplayable.
It's unplayable is the word. Unplayable is the word. Yeah. Bang on, unplayable.
Completely unplayable.
Anyone above 4 players that hasn't got a £9,000 PC.
But it's frustrating. But that's the point, isn't it? It's frustrating because it's an option there, and it's a fantastic option. The concept is fantastic. It's really simplistic. People are doing it beforehand anyway, so they wanted to implement it straight into the game firsthand. But once again, like Foxy, I've spent, I think my record is about maybe an hour or an hour and a half sitting on the first screen. One of the things that really annoys me is if somebody goes, like I say, make sure, they're like, how long is it going to last? I don't know how long it's going to last because I don't know how long people are going to take on their games. It's all
because I don't know how stable a connection everybody has.
There's that as well. And then some people, I don't know, 45 minutes and they go, oh, I'm sorry, I can't hang around anymore. So they leave, and you can't kick that person. You can't kick that team out. They just you have to play as them as well. So they got to the point where I was like taking control of like 2 or 3 clubs, and there was like 8 of us, and it was just a nightmare, ball ache.
It sounds like I did today what you did previously.
It was literally what you were saying to me right now is I was reliving the horrors. I'm gonna have sleepless nights tonight, hot sweats. It's gonna be horrible.
It was horrible, and I am genuinely gonna highlight it and send it to SI and say, look, all seriousness, I tried to do this today. You're advertising this as a 4 to 32 player mode. There's nothing in there saying, by the way, you must have a £9 million PC and an 800,000 megabyte speed internet thing that goes to Mars and back. Yeah, it doesn't work. Unfortunately, it's a great idea, but unless I'm playing against my buddy who's next to me on the same PC, I swore again, it makes no difference. It doesn't work. This is going to be a podcast of beep, 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 beep.
Morse code. We're reaching out to all those guys.
It's like my heart monitor when I'm watching Charlton bottle it for the 5th time.
5th time? I thought you deleted that.
Oh,
save.
no.
Well, I was going to say, well, at least that save is gone, so it doesn't.
I've lost count of how many times I've bottled it.
Foxy, it's okay. It doesn't have to hurt you anymore. You're safe now.
He's put it on a USB disc and he's buried it in his back garden somewhere. That's what he's gone and done.
Time machine, time capsule.
Yeah, pretty much. You
it
open it up and you go, put this in at your own peril. No. Pretty much like that.
He lives on an island now, so you can put it in a bottle and then let it float.
There we
out.
go.
I should have done that.
Chuck it out.
Great video.
Chuck it out there.
Okay, a bottle job in a
put it-
bottle.
I've
That's
given you
some,
an idea.
that's some
Put it on a
meta
dongle.
stuff right there.
Legit, I should have put it on this dongle that I'm now showing on the screen. I should have put it in a bottle and sent it out to the sea with a little note saying, "Somebody please win them the league" or something like that. Anyway, because I can't do it. That would have been epic. But
So the best thing is the fact that it's in a bottle and you bottled it.
exactly.
Hey.
But I've missed that boat, unfortunately. But
That is some
could have
high
even
quality
vlogged it as
meta right
well.
there.
it would have been brilliant. I actually would have done that. I wish I'd done that before. Damn, maybe I'll just put my whole PC in there.
Put yourself in it. Why not?
See, there's a difference between message in a bottle and completely trashing up the place, trashing up the ocean.
So, does anyone else have anything to offer that they would like to improve?
Yes. I'm talking a lot. Aren't I? Training, just training in general. Like, what is the point of it? Like, what is the point of training these days? That it has no influence in anything.
Training for me is 3 clicks and done.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a screen I stay on.
Okay, what is, in your opinion, I'm going to ask you 3 a quick question now. In your opinion, what is the most fundamentally important bit of a football team?
Training, exactly.
Would you
training and tactics,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Absolute
Okay, so
100%.
Teams now, we're about 2 days away from starting the Premier League season. Teams would have been on that pitch. You're talking 6 hours a day, solid for the last couple of weeks. Getting not working, not in terms of the fitness is finished. Preseason fitness is over. This would have been tactics to the maximum. And FM, what can you do? I'm gonna do general on high. What is general on high? I mean, what is that? I mean,
what do you mean general?
You walk in a room. It's just a generalised training of general stuff.
Yeah, I could turn up and they're all playing CS:GO on LAN or something. What are they actually doing on general on high? I mean, I don't even know. They brought the cars in for a show. I don't even know what they've done. But it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It just needs changing, desperately changing. I mean, who remembers the FM where you could actually tell them what they were doing each section of the day?
Is that Championship Manager 4?
It was about that. It was between 8 and 4,
4.
I think. I can't remember, but that was training properly. You could break their days down and put sections in. Now, I'm not saying go back to that. I'm just saying just like get away from this current main focus. You've got attacking, balance, defending, or teamwork. They're going to go bowling for one day. What's the point?
I'm pretty sure. Over the
is the
years
point?
they streamlined it, so they're trying to get as many people involved in the game as possible, so they don't get turned off by the multitude of training that you could do per day.
But now they've got touch. Now they've got touch, which is fairly successful. They need to go back.
Exactly.
They need to go back. It's just,
we need to go back, Marty.
It's just rubbish. It's rubbish. Training is rubbish. I'd actually say that I dislike training more than I dislike the match engine. To the point where in the last couple of saves that I've done, I've just left it all on the assistant manager to do, and he's done a fine job. There's no need for me to touch it, to be honest. And I think that's a sad thing because you say fundamental part of football team, training.
Yep.
Okay, guys, question. What was everyone's thoughts on the inclusion of the more intricate set-piece manager? I thought it was really more visual set-piece manager, because before, in iterations past, I really didn't, go delve into it, but now they're forcing it upon you, and I've grown to accept it, but I feel like it's kind of unneeded. Keep it simple.
Nothing's changed.
It's kind of like renaming analysis to Prozone. It's this, yeah.
It's just a new UI. That's all it is. Like, it's the same. You have the same positional options. You have the same limitations.
It's so limited.
With what I mean, I understand why it's limited, and it would be because it's prone to abuse. Like you start sticking like 8 men on the far post, all of it, and then swing.
No,
You've been watching my
of
streams. I stick them on the front post, to be fair, but still.
Well, that used to be it, didn't it? You swing it into the front post and then put a beam pod on it, and it's in every time.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So that's probably why it is as it is. But it would be nicer to have a few more options. And to make it a bit more, it's quite laborious in having to actually do the creation of those set pieces.
That's a brilliant word. You've nailed it on the head there, man.
Which
absolutely nailed it on the head.
Which
the laborious,
yeah.
It's just so.
It's time consuming.
I find myself literally skipping over it a lot of the time. I'm a stickler for it. I'm just not like with my tactics. Every single individual tactic is worked on. I make sure that I want my deep line playmaker to maybe push more and tackle. I don't want him to tackle as hard because he's not going to be as a tanky a man as opposed to a box to box man. I go really in depth in that way. But then when it comes to the taking free kicks and stuff, I'm just like, all right, yeah, just do this. Keep it basic.
Is when on attacking corners, I make sure the fullback stay back because the amount of times I've been done on that. We took a corner and the other thing is in the back of my net.
But that's exactly. But that's it. That's it. We don't really go into, and it's a shame because it's once again it's an integral part of tactics and training and stuff. Training and working on your set pieces, which Arsenal never do in real life or whatever. So maybe they're taking out of Wenger's handbook. I don't know, but I just find there's definitely something they can do. I'm not sure. Obviously, I don't get paid loads of money to make video games, so I'm not sure what they would do. But they definitely could come up with something just that looks nicer. It makes it more appealing for me to sit there for half an hour and just go, right, I'm going to really tinker something really nice here.
I mean, it would be nice
where
to have
I'm going to be proud of.
Where you could draw.
But
exactly. Again, like it was already mentioned.
No, obviously it can be it could be manipulated.
But it would be nice something like that, yeah.
Obviously have something like that, but obviously there'd be limitations still. But have it so we can still feel like their freedom. Like for example, if you've ever been to London, you go on a London tube. You're standing on the tube. You're about to get off the tube. When people don't come from London when they press the open the door button on the tube, and it's like. That's not going to do anything. It makes you feel like you've got power, but you've got cool. Sorry. Yeah. So I know that I don't have the power to make a tactic or a corner thing, a corner tactic, or however I want it to be. But at least give me something a little bit more. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
I think really we can move on to sort of the new features now of stuff that we're not necessarily going to improve, but anything new that sort of either come up in football that isn't yet featured. Because obviously last year there was the whole financial fair play, fair play stuff that came in, and I mean there's not really been an awful lot that has changed this year. But
that's the thing with the financial fair play. I'm sorry to bring it up. That's something that massively frustrates me as an Arsenal fan. Arsenal, played their cards close to their chest. Though, we'll do this. We'll save our money because financial fair play we'll be able to really coast this. But bigger, the clubs like Manchester City and Chelsea and stuff like that, they've been able to bypass these by getting in bigger contract deals with sponsorship deals. Even Man United have got DHL as their sponsor on their training kits and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? They've bypassed the financial fair plays by looking at sponsorship deals, and that's something that maybe FM could introduce, where you could actually sit down and figure out sponsorship deals for your club, because you end up getting a sponsor and you're like, oh, okay, is this a sponsor? I mean, that's another part. Just I don't know, I took a tangent there, but what I'm saying is, the financial fair play thing in real life is a pile of bullshit.
We don't know if SI was actually talking about that beforehand, but to me, I just feel like that's an added, like a real limited part of the game that doesn't really need to be thrown in. I'll tell from first hand, it's horrendously buggy, and I know we were trying to move on to new features, but I was massively hamstrung in my first 6 months at Blackburn because the rules for financial fair play are. You did it.
I know, I did it again. I was trying to. I thought you'll let me get past it. You just leave it, but no, you had to mention it. So nope. Yeah, fair play.
That's what I'm here for.
Okay, cheers, Brian.
There we go.
Number you. Anyway, yeah, I was getting hamstrung because the rules of financial fair play.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah, did it that time. In real life, you can sign free players or players who are unattached on contracts of less than £10,000 a week, or loan players of up to 3 months, I think. But you can't sign anyone, for money. You can't pay for a player, and you can't sign anyone for over that wage threshold. In the game itself, and they've never patched this out either, even though it was a known bug, because apparently they didn't know how to fix it, and it affected all clubs that had a transfer embargo. Basically, you just can't sign anyone. You can't sign loan players. You can't sign players who are free. You can't sign anyone. So, which is great when you've got like everyone getting injured, and you've got limitations on who you can register and things like that. But yeah, anyone who had a transfer embargo in this game was knackered for the first 6 months, and because that's when it was hard coded for Blackburn to come out of come out of the embargo. But that was slightly frustrating. So yeah, you miss all of the good frees at the start of the game. They'll accept a contract, and then you'll say you can't sign them.
You gotta get cozy to all the grey names.
We're on potential new things, right?
Yes.
Okay, just double checking that, because you kind of touched on something there, which I want to be. It's not a new thing, but there's a number of things I want them to update. But there's something that I just think they need to change slightly, which I hope will be a new thing, and that is the AI's ability to transfer negotiate with you. I think it's.
Oh my god, that's been horrendous over the last few iterations, man.
It's a little bit insulting more than anything. That the fact that the computer wants you to buy their £600,000 potential wonder kid for 85 million, yet they want to buy your superstar who's in his prime, who's worth 62 million for 12 million. So I think it doesn't really work properly. I mean, I don't know what happened with it. That's never been a thing in FM before. I've played it for a long time, and I've never had the experience of the AI negotiating so unfairly. And I feel like this year, I don't know what they did, but I hope that that's improved. I actually like the way that over the last couple of years they've kind of infiltrated the contract negotiations with with their agents and stuff. I think it's a really cool addition, because actually particular agents will be more anal and more nasty and more kind.
Hey.
But actually they act the way they're supposed to. The agents do, and you tend to find you get those greedy little buggers who are like Nicholas Anelka's brother, who's his agent, who wants 7 million for himself on the person you're about to pay $2,500 for a week.
I do love them though, the ones that are like that, because
it's realistic.
But then you chop away their wage, give the agent what they want, and you end up saving loads.
And that's really, really, really. I've actually enjoyed negotiating contracts this year and last couple of years, in fact, because they're a good fun to negotiate with now. However, the whole process before that, the whole transfer with the AI, is just something wrong with it. I have noticed though that the AI is more willing to pay money for players and to their actual value if that player is like playing a lot. It's the ones on the fringe side of the squad. It's almost like the AI knows you're not playing him, thus I'm not paying that much money for him. But they still give you a very insulting, which is kind of realistic, I guess. But they still give you a very insulting transfer. I wish.
Yeah, scale back the discrepancy between player value and how much AI offers or wants you to offer, because it's blown way out of proportion. It was never this bad.
Yeah, it's never been like this before, ever. And like I said, I've played FM for a long time, and I've never ever had this issue where the AI wants to literally pay nothing for your player.
One thing for me, it ties in quite well with yours as well, is something that we pretty much don't even look at anymore because we know how broken it is player exchanges. Exchanging if you've got a player and then they're interested in one of your players and their value is quite matched, it just doesn't work.
I've never actually done a player transfer like that.
Yeah, exactly, because the amount of times we've tried it before in previous FMs, it just doesn't work properly
unless you're playing in MLS. But that's about it.
But this is what I mean. Like, because we know it's so broken that we've kind of just given up with that aspect, and that's the reason why SI have just left it, because nobody moans about it, because everyone's forgotten about it, because nobody uses it anymore, because nobody does player exchanges. Nobody does it. So that's something that they 100% need to look at and really rejuvenate in the upcoming title. Definitely for me, because nobody uses it, nobody touches it, and as Foxy was like, I don't remember doing it. I don't even remember the last time I did it, but I stumble across it every now and again. I'm like, maybe I should try. And he's interested in my right back. The club are interested in a right back. One of my right backs is up for sale. They said they're interested in him. Let me put it up. He's valued at 5 million. I'm looking at their striker, 7 million. Here's my right back. I'm going to put up another £3 million just to, feel generous. No. All right. Fine. Whatever.
This could also go back to the broken transfer thing.
Yeah.
So that's possibly
exactly. I'm just tying it in.
An extension on that.
Oh,
and,
yes.
And the reason why I brought that transfer thing up, the negotiation with the AI, is because I think it's something realistic they can change or work with. New features is a hard one. I mean, you guys in the comment section that are listening now, what new features do you think? Got it in there for you.
I mean, for my new feature, and it's actually an old feature that they took out.
Go on then. I'm interested now.
It's probably something that no one's really noticed or cared about, but you can't change where your saves are located, like by default.
Really?
You can't.
You also can't not save it when you start a new game, which is distressing because sometimes I don't want to save when I start it.
Well. Yeah, that does on the draft.
I'm just trialing things out.
Throw half people out.
I'm just trialing things out and stuff like that. But you have to save it, so you've got like 100 saves, and you're just like, oh.
But the annoying bit about not being able to save, like, it's not uncommon now for people to have. I mean, they've got Steam statistics for this because it will be, as long as people turn it on, it will build up this list of stats and report what people have. Most people will have an SSD for a boot drive and then a hard drive that they store the majority of their data on because the boot drive is so much smaller. But it defaults to C or whatever, Mac or PC. It defaults to your default documents, and you might not. I mean, I saved mine to OneDrive because it's so much better doing it that way than having or relying on Steam to sync it because it never works. I had so many problems with that in the start. I've never had OneDrive not synchronize it as it should have. But that's a complete side issue. But also the bigger problem with that, having it forcing you to store it on that particular drive, is when people want to put that graphics and stuff. If you get the full graphics pack, there's nearly 10 gigs worth of images.
Yeah, it's huge.
I know that's not really SI's concern as such because of the licensing and everything that contravenes. But at the same time, it's bloody annoying not being able to choose where you want to save something. I mean, yes, you can choose it, but you can like choose where you load it from, and eventually you can save it in certain places. But having it by default, so you can store your graphics and kits and whatever elsewhere, or skins, because some skins, like if you've got like backgrounds and stuff that are huge, that you're going to run out of hard drive space very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real like niche thing, but it just really wound me up this year. That as soon as I noticed, I was like, when I was setting up the graphics, I was like, why can't I change this? This is like a fundamental thing that I've been changing for years, and now I can't. Bloody annoying. It's a controversial topic, so if you wish to not say anything, stay silent. But
I didn't do it.
I plead the fifth.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
But the
as Shaggy said.
But there's a couple of things that have in this version of FM, like particularly in the community, that have sort of plagued it a bit in terms of. You can guess already where I'm going with this. I'm quite sure.
I actually can't. I'm actually intrigued.
Okay. Well, but it's really with first of all attribute masking and your opinions on that. And generally, it's I don't care is my opinion on that. But it'd be interesting to see what you guys think, and also opinions on editing and when it's okay, when it's not okay.
Okay.
And
big topic.
And obviously, there's two parts of there's editing pre-game before you even start, and there's obviously in-game editing. So there's lots to get our teeth into with this, and it's
where do you start this conversation off? Because I feel that Brian could take it a certain direction. I could take it a certain direction. I don't know how much Deacon's been involved in, not just the editing and that kind of thing, but I know Brian has as something along those lines, and I think we know where we're going with that one. But you start this one off, and I want to see where you want us to take it to start with.
Sure. I mean, I know we've been joking around with this, but it's time. I think it's good to have an adult conversation about it. Without the kiddies sort of pointing fingers and stuff, and like removing anyone that's participated in anything, any past thing. It's more of a case of matter, I suppose, not even a state of the nation, but a matter of fact. Where does your opinion lie? Is if would it annoy you if someone is claiming that they've done made all of these achievements, because there's obviously outside of the creator realm, and I include that as blogs, YouTube, Twitch, whatever.
Yeah.
But outside of that, you've got the Steam leaderboards and things like that. So if, say, you've worked, so hard on a Charlton save, and you've won 5 Champions Leagues rather than bottling it 5 times.
Cheers for that.
But yeah, that's all right. It was just the first example that came to mind.
It's a good example, though. To be fair,
but you've slogged your way to those 5 victories, but then someone else has gone in, used the in-game editor, and adjusted their players' stats so that they just win every game.
Yeah.
Would that annoy you?
I can't even get the Steam leaderboards to work for me, so I don't care.
Well, that's that conversation then. I mean,
yeah, exactly. No, your point still stands.
Yeah, it would bug me. Yeah, because I mean, it's the game is as is. It's sent out is as is, and it should be is as is, not is as you want it to be. It should be a thing like leaderboard. Now it should be fair for all. Everyone should have an equal opportunity to be a part of that leaderboard if it's something that interests them, rather than somebody that has reloaded the particular game 7 times, or manipulated stats or whatever. The reason that SI has near 600 probably people working on the game, both paid and voluntarily. I mean, I did the Watford one for a little while, and I could speak from it. In terms of editing stats, I did that on an SI level, and I was appalled when I went in and I saw the background of people like Alan Nyom, who I'd watched for a year, be horrendous at right back, especially for the last part of the season anyway, and see him rocking at like 20 passing. I didn't see him make 20 passes in the entire season. So, I mean, how has he got 20 passes? You know what I'm saying? So, and that riled me, because whoever done this job before was obviously juicing players for their own fun. And then I would have the jovial bit of, the old nudge in the ribs, Watford also do well on FM. Well, there they do, because someone's been juicing their stats. And that annoyed. I'm not pointing fingers at Miles there if you're listening, by the way. I felt that was unfair, and it actually annoys me seeing that. Most people say Watford do quite well, because it just looks dodgy, But no, I think that those things shouldn't happen. No, and attribute masking is the same. Tell me a scout in the world that's turned up to watch a player play and he already knew what his stats were. He wouldn't turn up, would he? So no, I think that in the realms of making it real, making it fair as possible, then yeah, no, we shouldn't be editing things and changing things. And if you are, you should be telling your audience prior, making it quite clear that you are.
If you are a creator,
I don't like editing. I don't like the idea of not masking the attributes. I don't get the point of it. I made a massive hoo-ha about, as I said earlier, about manager wages and stuff, about going to scout a player. I like that. I like the struggle of.
Brings it to life.
Exactly. I like the struggle of trying to find. We were talking earlier about Sergio Diaz, who I loved in FM15. He's from Paraguay. He's a little kid, 17. Brought him to the Premier League on my derby save last in FM15. He was amazing. Now he's playing for the Castilla, Real Madrid. He's gone there now. And I just remember every single stat was masked, every single one. And I managed to scout him. It took me a while to scout him, and he ended up being an absolute gem. And now he's playing for Real Madrid at the Castilla. Do you know what I mean? I love that aspect. The idea of taking it away is just, you might as well just do the old-fashioned, I've lost this game, let me reload and try again.
Yeah,
I just don't understand it. So if you want my honest opinion, I think when people tell me how they edit, they go, "Oh, I give my club money." Why? Like I've just done a Chinese save.
Yeah,
I've just done a Chinese save, as I said, and I chose a club that was the only one of the clubs that was available: Jiangsu, Sunning FC, Tixeria Joe, the legend Joe.
I was going to say, how is
the
Joe
Everton.
getting on?
Joe's getting on fantastically. 22 goals in a season. He's remarkable, absolutely remarkable.
His best season ever, I'm sure.
Best season ever of all of his ever careers. Yeah. And I started off the save with that career with like 700k in the bank, and everybody comes into the stream and goes, "Oh, so you're in China? So how much money have you got?" And I'm like, "The club's fucked." What are you talking about? The club's fucked. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely fucked. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun not editing it and having to just go with the struggles and buy it overinflated, because obviously you can only have 4 foreign players in the side. So the rest have to be Chinese, and the goalkeeper has to be Chinese regardless. So you're buying a player that wouldn't play for Wickham. No offence to Wickham fans, but I'm saying he'd struggle to get in the Wickham side, and you're paying like £3 million for him. I'm like, what? Who are you? But I love that aspect. But so the idea of editing to give you money or not masking attributes, just I don't understand it.
I mean, the attribute masking for me, in my Rover save, I left. In all honesty, I started the save before I even thought about doing YouTube as a thing, and so because I wasn't going to have much time when I started, I thought, I'll just leave it. I'll leave attribute masking off, and then I can just. I know, no, I'm transparent about it.
You're being transparent, yeah, which is fine.
So and it doesn't, it was more a case it's going to be a casual save, and then it turned into something more. Sure. But I've just left it as it is. For this whole game, I've only had one save.
That's impressive, to be fair.
So I mean, it's taken me. I've probably 800 hours or something, and that's the only save I've had throughout the entirety of this. And the thing is, I'll go for a few weeks and I won't play it, and then I'll come back to it, and that's how I keep it going. I mean, there's been a few times probably where I've just left it on my laptop and forgot that I've left it on and accumulated hours accidentally. But it
happens.
Well, it does. But the attribute, I think, if I could choose, I'd much prefer the immersive. The immersivity. I've made up a word. I don't care.
I like it.
Of having that attribute masking, pretty much for the reasons that Deeks mentioned about having to scout that player to make sure he's good. And the thing is, when you do like a lower league save, it makes it nigh on impossible to pick someone up who's any good, like without actually scouting them. And then you've got, you can literally, it really does thin the pool that you've got available to you, because obviously you can only scout like local level stuff. And so you will end up finding some like amateur or player on an amateur contract at Dulwich Hamlet or something like that. And that's all you've got, literally. And you can look at them and they're all like completely blanked out. You either take a gamble or you just don't sign them.
Exactly. It's like we've all been burned one too many times by saying, "Okay, I need a player. Okay, I want this player. He looks okay, but I don't know all of his stats. Let's take a chance." And then his stats turn out to be bunk. But that's the nature of the beast, and I think you could already tell that I'm going down the road of I'm a guy that uses attribute masking for any serious save. I've only used it once in a non-serious method that was playing a national team save off stream or off camera. That was the only time where I really want to see everybody's stats. But like I said, it was off camera. It was just for fun. In the same token, for in-game, pre-game editing, the only way I could see that being a viable option is if you're doing experiments. Other than that, why can't you just play the game as it is?
When I did the
story
that was technically, I guess, an experiment, because I put a new team into the whole game with the Nike Academy. But
yes,
that was a community effort to.
It's a community experiment.
What was correct, and everything was visible, was there, and all of it was taken on an average of whatever the opinions of hundreds and hundreds of people were on what I should do. and we made the Nike Academy database from that. I actually think it's a very well-rounded database. I never completed it, or I never did it as far as I wanted to do it, but I'd happily give it up knowing that it's pretty safe. I mean, I simmed 40 seasons in the future like 3 or 4 times to see what would happen.
Well, this is the thing with like the whole This is why I said about pre-game and then in-game, because they are completely separate things.
Oh, they're totally different.
And also, like, some people work so bloody hard on like being able to make people play down to like level 21 in England and all of that. Their effort needs commending, but at the same time, if you're going to be doing that, it's really. I have to sit on the fence because
it opens up the door to player boosting or player nerfing.
It's really. I love playing like vanilla. But if you want to play down those, go as low as you can and then build them a club all the way up from the bottom. You've got to rely on someone else to do it unless you're going to do it yourself.
Yeah, I mean, there was. I'm not going to use any names here or I'll give her any clues, but there was a person that built databases who obviously gave his home club a bit of a boost in every single database that he made. He doesn't make them anymore. It's quite a while ago now. But I think people just stopped kind of going to him because they knew that their particular team would be extra juiced, and it was like, this isn't really fair. We're looking for something very fair, and this isn't. I think, to be honest, when I get custom databases, the one I'm using at the moment is actually from the SI one, because that's a kind of community put together one where at the Sort It Out SI where people are vetting them before they go in, I believe. But the FM WizKids I find to be the most reliable because it's a group of people putting it into one thing, so there's no bias towards particular teams or particular players. But it's difficult because you just never know. You never know what someone's doing in the background. That's why, and that's kind of like how I did a podcast with Dave as a party the other day, and this was how my Prozone stuff came about. Is I was so conscious in my Director's Debacle save. Because I was winning games and I was doing really well into AC Milan, who obviously are not a particular powerhouse at the moment. I'm thinking, people aren't going to believe me. People aren't going to believe me. But I was spending, and that's probably why I'm spent of FM right now, is because I was spending like 20 minutes a game going through Prozone, playing on comprehensive, and just trying to work the game out. And I thoroughly enjoyed doing that. And I didn't work the game out in terms of becoming tactically good at it. I learned to understand how the AI would play and how I could manipulate my team to kind of like counteract what the AI was doing. But at the same time, I wasn't showing people this in my early Director's Debacle videos. And people then would start to naturally question, like, how the hell have you just beaten Lazio 4-0 with an average team? So I then consciously started putting in these little clips of me doing those extra bits on Prozone, and then that led into me doing Prozone videos.
But this is where like Twitch comes into its own, because you instantly prove your legitimacy by just you having to play it.
Yeah.
Which is, awesome, really. And that's why it's such a good platform to be included on. I mean, I can't believe we've managed to sort of get through this whole conversation without mentioning #narrative. But well done for not.
It's been mentioned so many times.
I was going to say that
the game
it's been implied. It's been implied. I was going to say, Fox
gives you a narrative, man.
And I was about to say, that was going to be the wrap-up of my point. It's like, you have the game, it'll give you a story to begin with. If you're a content creator, roll with that. You don't need to artificially boost yourself. Just go out there, have fun, and use the content that's given to you.
You'll find ways to take these tiny little things and blow them up to something massive. But I always remember, the one bit I loved about Director's Debacle was Dede scored an own goal. I turned that into my starting point for 3 episodes, to the point in the end where Romagnoli was sniping him from a bush. So, that you just run with it, and you can just extravagant these things and make them fun. And FM, let's be honest, I think everyone here will agree with me, FM is a dull and boring game to show people.
Yep.
It is dull, and you're playing against a computer.
Compared to other games, yes.
Yeah, how much
more a dry subject
unfun can that be? You're watching somebody beat the computer, or lose to the computer in my case most times. But it's like, it's so dull, but people can bring it to life. And I like to think within my streams particularly, they come back for me. And I think a lot of people will state that they come back for me, or they come back for the creator, or the creator that the story gives. They don't really come back for FM. No one. I mean, there's a lot of YouTube channels that have appeared this year who do FM. The ones that are the most successful, or the ones that are not successful in their own level. For instance, there could be someone that has 1,000 subscribers who is successful within his range, as is there is somebody with 50,000 subscribers who is successful within his range. So they have people coming back for them because they enjoy what they do. I think there's very few people that come back for FM content. And that's where my channel kind of split into two with the Prozone stuff. Is I had a group of people that came to watch the content and me, and I had a group of people that came to watch the Prozone videos. So I wasn't seeing my channel as a success in either way because my viewership was kind of split, and that was kind of my own fault really, because I did a tips and tricks side and I did a story side. But I think the channels that are some of the most successful channels in the FM community are channels that literally do stories only, and they just kind of talk about what's going on in the save and make it a thing and make it enjoyable and link things up from previous episodes. So yeah, I think many viewers come back for FM. They come back for the people that are delivering FM. Like I say, it's a dull game. It's a hard game to make entertaining, but they're there. The things are there. You just got to pick it up, run with it, and be creative. And like that's what I'm saying. If anyone's listening now that hasn't started, I've said this so many times recently, but if anyone's listening now that hasn't started or wants to start YouTube or Twitch or something, do it now. You've got a free pass. Next 2 months, you can do whatever you want because the game ultimately is not that exciting as of this moment, and a lot of people are slowing down their uploads or so whatever. You've got a free pass for 2 months to go and play, get used to your editing software, get used to what you want to do, get used to being a streamer. Like, for God, man, if I could look back at my first couple of streams to now, I'd probably cringe. I'd still cringe anyway, but I'd probably cringe even more. But still, you've got a free pass, go and do it. I kind of went off on a tangent there, but still.
Reaction videos when?
Yeah, me reacting to my own stream, that'd be interesting. And then in 6 months' time, me reacting to my stream, that'd be interesting. Oh. But anyway,
then you're going down a vicious cycle.
But still, you got a free pass. Go and do it. Enjoy it. Get used to your software. Be extravagant. And that's FM's boring. At the end of the day, to watch it, I never go. I think anyone that I click on YouTube, anyone that I click on Twitch, I don't watch FM. I just listen to them and watch them. Yeah, an example I can give on that is FM Fanatic yesterday in his stream. He streams quite late sometimes. Not one of the biggest streamers out there. Lovely guy, spends a lot of time in my chat. And he was streaming.
How much has he paid for this plug, by the way?
I couldn't even. You'll like this though. I couldn't even tell you the name of the team that he was because he's one of these lower league guys, and he was playing a song every time this player scored. Something to do with Glorious or whatever, something like that. Anyway, this player scored, and he's staring straight into his camera with the biggest smile I've ever seen in my life. Not only realising that the player is offside and the whole of the chat are laughing at him. And he has not realised that the player's offside. And then he looks down and he's like, what? He's offside! Slams the headphones down. And everyone is crying at this. And we didn't go there for that. We didn't go there to watch FM. We went there because those moments are fucking golden. They are so much fun. I remember getting the same person. I remember getting him to search for a player in his lower league save called Dwayne Pipe. Doesn't exist. It's obviously sounds like drain pipe. But still, they're the moments that you go for the streamers. So I don't know where I went with all that, but still enjoy it and make it fun because you can.
Right, well, thank you very much for that, Foxy.
That's fine. I'll be here all week.
Well, we will be if you keep on going.
Enjoy it.
I'm aware that Brian needs to go to a gun club or something like that.
Ooh.
So it's because he's American. I'm making a gun
yeah, and it's waving flags, shooting guns. That's how us Americans do. You know how it is.
Yeah, it's fine. Last bit before I give you a chance to plug everything that you have, although Foxy's done quite a bit of that already. For
none of it mine, though. None of it mine.
Indeed. So Foxy sort of touched on it earlier, which it wasn't a penis. It's more about the opinion for sort of SI's long-term goal for the series and like about the lack of competition and how that may potentially affect the game going forward. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
I'm going to say I've talked a lot. I'm going to mute my mic and talk to myself now as well.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? What can they do to improve? As I said earlier, I don't. It's like when you ask somebody's opinion on it with regards to what would you do if you were a football manager, or what would you do if you were a chairman of a football club? How much would you pay? What's the wages and stuff? And it's like, well, I don't get paid the money, so I don't need to have a collective opinion or an assertive opinion on it. So in regards to what I I'm interested and looking forward to, and it's going to be interesting as well what Foxy said about the 0.5. Is this going to be another 0.5? Is this, or did they already do a 0.5? Is this going to be a full? They're going to do a lot more this year, or are they going to tweak it? I'm hoping that they do. Obviously, the more they do, the better. I don't want them to. That ties in again. Once again, nobody else is in their market, so that you can slide into complacency and stuff like that. You don't really have any challenges, so you can kind of just coast your way through. Like, I'm not a massive fan of Call of Duty, and they've just coasted their entire career of 10 years of just reeling out the same and this year...
Because they know they're the only game in town.
They finally stumbled. But they finally stumbled this year somehow, magically. I don't know how, but they've stumbled and they've gone, Jesus, we're going to have to make a new video game by not adding a new gun, and maybe update the graphics a tad. You know what I mean? If FIFA are now bringing out Frostbite engines, then Call of Duty needs to pull their fingers out. As I said, I don't play Call of Duty, but what I'm saying is, when a video game creator or whatever doesn't have anyone else on the market, you become complacent. And I'm hoping and praying that SI are not becoming complacent, and I'm hoping that they cut their, as I said, they've got content apparently coming up to, I don't know, mentioned it, but saying up for the next 20, 30 years, they've got content, got ideas and all this. I'm hoping this is true. I'm hoping that FM17 is going to be new, bigger and better, like it is every year. It's always that little bit better, and it's the reason why we're still here. We're still playing the games. We're still talking about it at nearly 11:30 at night, talking about the video game. I'm hoping and praying that they really, they pull something out of the bag. I really do. But what it is, who knows?
Well, that's a very succinct point to finish on, I think.
I've got one more thing.
Oh, bloody
I thought of a new feature.
Oh, you ruined it. Ruined it.
I've been holding this one for about 20 minutes. I can't hold it any longer. I've been thought of a new feature, and this is something I've talked about.
Fart noise now.
I've been thinking about this for. I've talked about this. This is an interesting point because people are going to disagree with this quite a lot, and some people don't think this is a brilliant idea. It's never going to happen. Categorically, never going to happen. Thoughts on players' performances dictating fluctuating stats.
Care to explain?
So you have Joe Bloggs, who is 16 finishing, which is fairly good in the game. He has a bad run of form where he doesn't score for 5-6 games, and his fluctuation of his stat means he drops by 2 or 3. So he's down at like a 12 for his finishing.
Ooh,
however, he doesn't continue to drop. He just holds at the 12 because that is poor form by his standards. Okay, his base standard. So he's 15 or 16, whatever I said. That is his base. That's his base stat. That's what he's good at. But his fluctuation will mean he'll go down by 3 because he has poor form. However, he starts to score a couple and finds his form. He reignites back to what you would consider his base at 16. But then he also continues to score a few more, and he has a couple of hat tricks in about 3 or 4 games. And now he is overperforming, and his shooting stat, his finishing stat has now jumped by 1, and he's a 17. However, then he has a little bad run again, and he goes back down to 60. I always think this would be a great thing to add to the game, like you kind of have with informs and so on with FIFA. It's something they're never going to add, but it's always a brilliant thought for a new thing that they could add. It would make the game a lot more realistic, where you don't get a player who's in bad form all of a sudden turns up one day and has an absolutely amazing game. That does happen in real life, of course. But that fluctuating stat, I think, would make the game a little bit more interesting. Also very difficult to code in, I would have thought, but make it interesting.
I think you're right on that point.
We didn't really have any new features as such, did we? So maybe that could be something maybe to consider.
Hold on, new features. Hold on, intensive language courses. Come on.
Come on. No. New features for the future.
Right. Okay. I thought you were talking about effort.
When we got on that topic, we didn't really think of anything up because there's kind of like, where'd you go from here? And I remembered.
Sure.
I don't know. What do you guys about fluctuating stats?
I think that's actually a really good idea. The fact that you can visually see that this player is underperforming, and you can see which particular stats he's underperforming as well. And this is obviously something you could get from a coach during your the 6 hours a day of training Monday to Friday. This is something you could get. Your coach come over and go, listen, right, I've been watching him in training. He's been hitting the woodwork a little bit more than he usually has been. His finishing has dropped off a little bit. Probably the reason why he did miss that sitter on Saturday. So I'm a little bit sceptical as to his finishing capabilities this weekend.
17-year-old's been banging him in, and he's jumped up.
But exactly. I think it's a brilliant idea. Once again, though, as you said, it might be a little bit hard to code into the game. Who knows? But once again, as I said, I don't get paid the bucks to input this. Who knows? It might be pretty simple. There might be a pretty easy mechanic for them to. Games are coming into wonderful, amazing things nowadays. Who knows what they could implement?
At that point, it would probably be for a coding issue. It'd be just ramp up the amount of time it takes to fluctuate the stats. It could be something as simple as that, but who knows?
Exactly.
I would imagine that there's something that does that in the background anyway.
Yeah.
With growth and decreasing of stats, yes. But the growth happens over time, doesn't it? Because every player has.
What I mean is, though, if a player's in poor form, like the morale is affected, that I would imagine that there is a modifier somewhere where their
Well, do you know what I think that modifier is? Yeah, morale. You just said it. I think that's morale. Morale, we know, is the most fluctuant thing in the game.
But morale would then affect their stats, basically, because I'd imagine the stats are the things that.
A bit more of a visual thing, I guess. For, you could look at the player and then you wouldn't turn around and go, hang on a minute, this player's got 18 finishing and he's just missed 4 sitters. You can actually look at it and go, well, actually, he had 18 finishing. He's now actually got 12. That's obviously a big difference. It wouldn't happen that much, but yeah. So I think it'll be good. And
I think it'll be an interesting development.
I have heard this game many times in the previous FMs, and from 14 to now, be called Morale Manager quite commonly because it is. Morale is a huge thing in the game.
Brian, we'll start with you. Plug your stuff as much as you wish right now.
All right,
where can people find you?
Follow me on Twitter at Brian_Gendo. If you want to watch my videos on the YouTubes, it's youtube.com/GendoFM. And if you want to follow me on Twitch, where you can see my British Steel Challenge going on every weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you can find me there, twitch.tv/RLKDragon. That
was amazing. Mr. Foxy.
Don't follow me because I will bottle everything. You won't learn anything. However, I do have a very good No, I'm joking. I'm not going to say that one.
Wow.
FoxInTheBox FM is everything. Everything that I have is FoxInTheBox FM. It comes compulsory with a bottle, so be careful. But yeah,
where's that bottle going?
That bottle works in multiple places. It can. You catch me on Twitch. I don't do too much YouTube anymore. I will do FM17 stuff, but it'll be tips, tricks, and guides, whatever. That kind of stuff. Very, very. What's the word? Irregularly. However, I do stream quite regularly.
Infrequent.
Good word. Infrequent. I do stream quite regularly though, so you can catch me up on there.
Okay, excellent. And to round off, Mr. Deak, please, where can we find you?
You can find me in my man cave outside in the back garden. But you can also find me on Twitter at JustDeacon, and you can also find me on Twitch as well at Deacon Entertainment. I do have a YouTube link to it as well, but it's mostly just highlights because, as I said, me and editing are like chalk and cheese. So, hence the reason why I do the Twitch. But there we go. So, you can find me at JustDeacon on Twitter.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much for your time, gentlemen. I very much appreciate it, and this has been a fantastic little chat that we've had. I say little chat, hour and a half, just saying.
I'm sorry.
Thanks for having us,
I apologise in advance, guys.
No, it was a lot of fun. It's, we're all getting together talking about a game that's changed our lives. Yeah, it's changed our lives. We there's lots of points where we can think back 5 years ago and think about. I remember playing it on the tube, busting it out on the tube, or an ex-girlfriend sitting in front of you when you're trying to play it and going, you spend some time with me. No, I need to just do this 1 second very quickly.
One more match. Yeah,
one more match, which is never one more match. And then sometimes it is one more match, but they don't realise that one more match could take 20 minutes. So, it's fantastic. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
No problem at all. So, for now, folks, it's goodbye from me. And thanks for watching. See you later. Say goodbye, everyone.
Bye. Can we all do the Deli Alley wave, please? Thank you. Deli Alley wave. Everybody, Deli Alley wave.